Welcome aboard, TTA travelers. Whether you're a humanoid, a robot, or an alien passenger, we hope you enjoy your trip along Tomorrowland Transit Authority's Super Skyway.
At Vulcania, we have tapped the ebb and flow of the tides to produce clean and efficient electric power.
Hey, if they need water, they can move to Hakuna Matata Village.
With laughs and tears and footlights all aglow, the sparks ignite. Ha! A brand new show.
WDW Radio, your information station.
Hello and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. I'm your host, Lou Mongello, and this is show number 125 for the week of June 28th, 2009. Thank you for tuning in once again. I'm going to answer more of your emails this week, including questions about going to Walt Disney World alone, resort hopping, streetmosphere, and more. With the summer heat in full swing, it's only appropriate that this week we look at the top 10 places to get wet in Walt Disney World to help you and your kids find some of the best places to stay cool and have fun. Listen for more of your voicemails at the end of the show, so sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. As promised, and I never break a promise, I'm going to be answering more of your emails as quickly as I can, and thank you all sincerely once again for your patience as I wrestle with the inbox. And wrestling with me and back in my corner once again is my favorite travel agent. Actually, she's my only travel agent. The woman who wines and dines me all in the name of research at the California Grill, the brains and the beauty behind MEI and Mousefan Travel, the lovely Ms. Becky Mankin.
Oh, what a sweet introduction. You do so well on those. Might have to, send you some more.
Send me more or keep taking me out to dinner.
Hey, again, we're going to have to schedule that whole California Grill thing. I'm on it.
True. And actually, you know what? Speaking of thanks, and I'm thanking you in advance for all the other dinners I'm going to convince you to buy me in the name of the show, I have to give you big thanks again, now that you're sort of semi here in person, for me and on behalf of all the listeners for the tickets for The Little Mermaid and The Lion King on Broadway. I heard from everybody, and it was an amazing experience. I only wish that actually, it would have been cool if both of us could have been up there to join everybody. But they were incredible seats, amazing performances, great. Everybody just had such a good time. So I want to thank you again for securing those and getting those for us.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was my pleasure. I certainly wish I would have been there as well. I'm just happy that everybody had a magical time. It sounds like it was a wonderful experience.
Well, once again, Becky, I thank you, and the listeners thank you. It was a fun contest. It was a great prize, and now we have to get working on the free WDW radio cruise.
Excellent. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be pretty excited about that, so I'll get right to work on that too, right after I make the reservation for California Grill.
Yeah, it seems to come up a lot during the live broadcast that I do, when I do the live video things. The subject of free cruise comes up, and invariably your name gets mentioned right after that. Nevertheless, Ed Klimzak has a different question, not about food. So here you go. He says, Lou, I travel to Disney a lot, and usually alone. I'm divorced, and my kids are teens, so I can't take them out of school too often. Is there a site or a place at Walt Disney World where you can meet people by email or whatever, just to find somebody to have dinner with, etc.? Just dinner, drinks, maybe seeing the parks. I love going to Germany, for example, to sit at those big tables and meeting people from around the country. And I think this is a great, great question because, Ed, you are not, literally and figuratively, you are not alone.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's one of the wonderful things about the Disney community is that meeting others that have the like passion for this thing that we love so much. And there's so many wonderful online communities out there that you can get involved with and meet people, like Lou's discussion boards, for instance. to see when other people are going to visit Disney World, so you can all go together. Many of them go to Disney as solo travelers as well. So look for the community events, trips that are scheduled where those communities go together. Many of the communities plan specific times of the year where members can travel together and enjoy the parks and do meets. A lot of what you're doing, Lou, where you do the monthly meets down there, that's a great opportunity to bring people together and let them meet each other face to face. And of course, I'm going to take the opportunity to plug that we've also got an event that we do in December that we're doing, the Mouse Fan Reunion. It's a great time to go down because you have other faces and, a few places and events to meet with other people. No pressure, just new friends and lots of fun. So a lot of those opportunities are out there.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that it's a great byproduct of, like, for example, when I do my monthly meets, you don't need to RSVP. It doesn't cost you anything other than if it's in the park, admission to the park. Mm-hmm. And what I see happening all the time is that we hang out there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is. I see people making new friends and sometimes going off together to ride an attraction, whatever it is, or all of us as a group say, hey, okay, we're done here. Let's go get something to eat. Let's go ride Tower of Terror. Let's go see the Great Movie Ride. Let's go watch a parade, whatever it is. And those friendships form instantly. And whether it's a long-term friendship or just somebody to hang out with and have a good time at that park for that day or whatever it is for that day or for that weekend, that's a great thing that happens as a result of it. Because again, you're around like-minded, passionate people, and it's very, very easy for that to happen. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is one of the reasons why I do what I do. It's because meeting the great people and getting together and doing these group events and seeing each other face to face, I have forged so many wonderful, dear friendships that I wouldn't trade for the world.
Absolutely. I agree 1,000%. So, Ed, definitely pay attention to, like Becky said, the forums, the show, or even go on the forums and say, hey, I'm Ed, I'm going down, I'm going to be down there. Anybody else want to meet up? I've made an ADR for 4 people at Mama Melrose's. Anybody want to get together for lunch, or anybody want to get together and ride a ride? You'd be very surprised how many people would want to get up and meet you, or maybe in the same position and say, hey, I'm going down solo too, or my husband's in a conference, or, my kids are going to be off. Lots of opportunities. So,
absolutely.
All right, moving on. Next question says, hey, Lou, great job on the show. Everyone a masterpiece. David Richmond from Virginia, my new best friend.
Wow.
Quick question for you. Many times I've heard you talk about going to visit resorts besides the one you may be staying at. If you take your own car to another resort, is there a problem parking if you're just going to look around and see all the resort has to offer? I've gone to other resorts when I had dinner reservations, and they seem to check at the gate that you're there for a legitimate reason, checking against a list of some kind, but what do you tell them if all you're doing is taking in the sights? Do they let you just park there, or do you have to take Disney transportation and not your own car? Thanks for all the great shows. Dave, again, see, is it David Richmond or David from Richmond, Virginia? I don't know. But either way, it's David. And Dave, the answer is very simple. You just got to throw around the Becky Mankin name. And if that doesn't work, just say you're Tim Foster and you're in.
There you go. Tim's will probably work better to get you past the gates.
Top 10 lines to get past the security guards at the gate. You know what? You don't need a line. It's honestly not that difficult.
No, you're so right. Resort hopping is a great activity at Disney. As a matter of fact, they encourage you to take a look at the other resorts and partake in the restaurants that are located at each of the resorts. When you pull in, just have your parking pass if you're staying on property, and of course your room key or your photo identification. You should have no problems going in and checking out the resort. Of course, what they're trying to avoid by asking you all the questions is they don't want people parking there for any amount of time, which might cause an inconvenience for resort guests who are actually staying there. So just be sure you park there while you're visiting that resort, dining in the restaurants, etc. But it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, and then they're trying to avoid, everybody parking at the Polynesian to be like, oh, I'm just going to look around, and if I happen to fall onto the monorail and stay at the Magic Kingdom all day by accident, that's pretty much pulling up Becky Mankin.
Hey,
just seeing if you're paying attention. But yeah, you should have no problem. Unless of course maybe there's like a big event going on or whatnot. But
yeah.
All right, next question is from Laura from Michigan, who says, Lou, I emailed you last month about boat rights, and she's still so sad. And I have another food question for you. I love crab legs, and I can't seem to find them anywhere except, of course, Fulton's Crab House. I love Fulton's, but was hoping to find them somewhere else on property as well. I've looked around but can't seem to find any other restaurants that serve them. Do you know of any? Thanks for the great show. P.S. I'm so jealous of your move. I mean, Fulton's would obviously be the first place that I would suggest for that. And if you've ever been to Fulton's, they've got a huge refrigerator with like monstrous, gargantuan, dinosaur-sized crab legs in there. But Becky, does Coral Reef still serve crab legs?
You know, I'm thinking that they used to. I know that they used to, but I remember hearing that they removed them from the menu. So that might be worth taking a look to see if they've magically returned back to the Coral Reef menu. But as of the last time that I was there, was mid-March, they were not on the menu at that point. I'm thinking if there's any other locations. Yeah. The other one, you know what? The, what's his name? Todd English's place?
Blue Zoo.
Over at the Dolphin? Yeah.
Blue Zoo?
They're pretty much seafood focused. I haven't seen a menu for a while, but that might be worth looking at.
Yeah, I was thinking, I don't think Flying Fish has them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And listen, Laura, if you're just looking for somebody to go to Fulton's with you, I'm raising my hand. You can't see it, but I'm raising my hand. We'll get Becky to pay, and I'll join you for crab legs.
Oh, jeez. Only if I get to go and there's chocolate something involved.
I'm sure we can work that out. So the next email, it comes from Jesse Biseglia, who wrote one of the he wrote his own version of a WDW radio song. I'll have to play that again. Jesse did an awesome job out of nowhere. Anyway, see, and here you go. He goes, WDW radio songwriting extraordinaire here with a question. Thanks for playing both my songs on episode 100. I'm going to Walt Disney World in the last week of August for my honeymoon. Congratulations, Jesse. I saw that the buy 3, get 2 nights promotion was extended through August 15th. I really don't want to go mid-August due to the crowds. Do you think it might be worth my while putting off my booking in desperate hopes that it might be extended again? I just thought Disney might want that promotion going as the slower late August season arrives. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. Best regards, Jesse.
Well, congratulations, by the way. Wonderful honeymoon option here. The best deal right now that's happening for August is free dining. That is still out. Right now it's supposed to expire near the end of June, but who knows, that might be extended. But the free dining promotion is right now going to be most likely your best bet.
Okay, moving on to the next question. It says, hey Lou, love the WDW radio show. I've been listening to you since the old days, and you always deliver the Disney info I'm looking for. You're going to like this. And Becky, of course. She knows how to suck up to Becky. All right. So now I have a few things to ask you that I haven't figured out. A few weeks ago, some kids in my middle school went on a trip with a local choir to Walt Disney World. My social studies teacher specifically asked one of them to get an autograph from Mickey Mouse himself. Upon returning, since she couldn't find Mickey, the student gave the teacher a piece of paper reading, "To my biggest fan, David," and a name that appears to be something along the lines of Dorma Normandy. Nobody in my class, or grade for that matter, can figure out who this is. Is it a Streetmosphere character or something? Have you ever heard from her? Thanks for all you do. Hale McSherry from Greenwich, Connecticut. And Hale, I actually know exactly who you're talking about because one of my daily Disney Diary videos from a month or two ago had in Dorma Nesmond. And she's over, like you said, she's a Streetmosphere character over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Obviously, the name is a play on Norma Desmond, the famous Hollywood actress. She is very, very, very funny. Must have an incredible way to deal with the heat because she wears this giant red, deep, dark velvet costume and has a very sort of pale face. Very, 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 very funny. Yes.
That's who she is. Okay, I was trying to place it.
Yes,
cool.
She will not give you very much attention because she is the star of the show. And she will make sure that you and everyone around knows that. But yeah, she's wearing velvet in the summer. So that's who it is. And again, I think it's like my daily Disney Diary from mid-April somewhere. She's right there at the very beginning when I'm over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So now you can put a face and a voice and a wonderful actress to your autograph. So there you go. And Becky, your silence is deafening, so we will move on to the next question, which says, hey Lou, I have a question about the new tree houses. You mentioned in your videos that it is a DVC resort. Does that mean that you have to be a DVC member to stay there, or can anybody book the resort? I never had a chance to see the old tree houses, and these look absolutely incredible. We want to save and stay there if possible. Thanks. Take care. Once again, from WDW, Donna.
Yeah, it's really great. The tree houses are wonderful from what I hear. They just opened recently and are open to anybody. So you can actually book it with your travel planner. You can package it together in one of the Disney World Magic Your Way packages as well. So they are open to anybody.
And I have to say, as having been able to go through them, having stayed there as a kid when they were the old version of the tree houses, I can't recommend them enough. You know, I talk about places like Wilderness Lodge or Animal Kingdom Lodge or some of the other resort hotels as being an incredibly immersive experience. I think the tree houses take that to a whole nother level, because as soon as you sort of pull in, you've got this canopy of trees over you. It's somewhat secluded. You so do not get the feeling that you are in Central Florida. The tree houses are so unique. You've got so many great amenities, not to mention the flat panel TVs, but a lot of room in there as well. So, Donna, I definitely recommend staying there. And when you're done there, go check out the views from Bay Lake Towers.
Oh, nice. The tree houses, of course, are great, especially for families, because it does accommodate 9 guests, I believe, and it has 3 bedrooms in there. And then all the amenities that you were talking about, like the kitchen, a full kitchen, washer and dryer, and of course the flat panel's a good one.
And you still feel like you are the only people there. You know, even though another treehouse might be 30 yards away, you feel like you are in the middle of this forest, and it's just so quiet and so secluded. Really a nice experience there. So gotta stay. I have to stay. I have to get mom and dad on board. Yeah, and go stay. Just like the
There
old
you go.
So, but more importantly, we need to get back to a food question. So the Nice family, the entire Nice family collectively says, "Hey Lou, my family and I have a question I hope you can answer. If on the Disney dining plan, do you get the same menu as people that are not? Hope you have the answer or can find it. Thanks, the Nice family." And that's a great question, because many times when you sit down at a restaurant, the first question that your server asks you is, are you on the dining plan? So people might often assume, are you going to get some sort of a different menu?
Right. This typically you can order from the regular menu at most restaurants. For example, when you do the regular dining plan, your table service that you get, 1 per person per night, includes either the full buffet if you're going to a buffet and your non-alcoholic beverage, excuse me, or entree off of the regular menu, beverage, and of course your dessert. If dessert is being served, obviously not at breakfast, but yeah, you can order from the regular menu.
Yeah, great question though. Excellent question. Mm-hmm. Moving on, it says, "Hey Lou, hypothetically speaking," which means I'm going to try and see if I can do this. I just don't want to commit to it. If somebody was flying into Orlando for the day to enjoy a free birthday in their park of choice, what is the closest destination on property that a taxi could drop you off and the WDW transportation could do the rest? I'm thinking every dollar saved on cab fare is an extra dollar towards a Mickey bar. Love the show. Can't wait for your audio guide to Tomorrowland.
Okay, I love this question because somehow we went from a Disney podcast to an SAT question.
Right.
Oh my gosh. All right, so from the airport, right? That's what he said?
Right. He wants to know the closest destination that a taxi can drop you off and the WDW transportation can do the rest.
Okay, so if I were... geez.
I'm so happy that you're fumbling for the answer, because I have the perfect answer.
See, I'm thinking Downtown Disney, or I'm thinking Pop Century, because they're coming in on 417.
Have you ever even been to Walt Disney World?
Apparently you need to take me. Research trip. No, coming in from the airport, right?
Listen, see, you did not do
Magical
well.
Express?
You totally blew your SATs, didn't you? He's flying into Orlando. He wants to enjoy a free birthday in the park of his choice. So he wants to get to the park as quickly as possible. The closest destination on property that a taxi could drop you off. Right? And then, if necessary, WDW transportation can do the rest. A taxi can drop you off right in the front of Disney's Hollywood Studios. Right at the park gate. They can also do the same. They can also do the same at Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Okay, so basically if I needed to actually take the whole taxi out of the question that said that it was the taxi would drop you off. Okay, I get it. All right,
I
you're
think
right.
Epcot, I think it actually in Epcot, it'll drop if they can. I wonder how close. I think the taxis can get right up by kind of where the tram drop off might be at that. So
You're right.
From distance from cab door to attraction, that might be the
You're right.
closest. Because if you
Yeah, see, I
haul
was
straight
confusing.
line to Spaceship Earth, that might be it.
Yep, you're right because I'm looking at. I was trying to incorporate the WDW transportation, of course. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, my
Taxi
dad
right
is
to
so
the-
proud that his 3 years of paying for law school paid off in this question. There you go. The logic. There you go, Dad. The logic paid off.
I was told there'd be no math.
Well, just wait till the next one then.
Yeah, don't you have another question there?
I do.
Lou?
And actually, you're mentioned by name. You're mentioned by name because it says, "Hey Lou,"
Uh-oh.
and possibly Becky. She doesn't get as many shout-outs as she deserves. So, hey Becky. There you go.
I love this person.
I figured you
Okay,
wouldn't.
go ahead.
I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm a huge WDW radio show fan. It brightens my Mondays. That right there makes all the 3 a.m. nights worthwhile. Moving on. I'm a senior in high school. I've gone to Disney World about every spring break since I was 7. Awesome. I'm about to head off to college in the fall. Naturally, I've been thinking about my future lately, and was starting to think about majors. It's very serious. I wanted to become an Imagineer for quite some time, and was wondering what majors should an Imagineer hopeful choose. I've become interested in architecture, but could definitely see myself working as a show writer as well. So, sorry this is turning into a two-parter, but you're no stranger to those. Hey. I was also wondering what types of Imagineers are out there. Thanks a lot. And that comes from Matt Schroeder. And Matt, I get and I got this question a lot in the past, and I never really knew how to answer because I went to law school and not Imagineer school. So I did a segment back in October on show number 89 called How to Be an Imagineer. And I had the first of a number of Imagineers that I've had on and will continue to have on the show. His name was Ed Romeo. And what I wanted to do was have him tell his story about his journey, about how he started in Imagineering and sort of the path that he took. And other people have come on as well. Artists have been on before. Animators have been on before. Because the important thing to recognize and realize is, to both parts of your question, there is no proper path to choose. There is no proper discipline or major to focus on. Do what you love, because there are so many different avenues and so many different disciplines in Imagineering that you can be a mechanical engineer, you could be a mathematician, much like Becky, and and there's a place for you there. You can be a writer and become a show writer. Other people have started off, slinging ice cream and worked their... Look, Tony Baxter, Jason Sorrell, they worked in the parks and they got there. But, if architecture is your thing, then that might be the path that you choose to get to Imagineering and start building up a portfolio and contacting Imagineering and looking for job openings, looking for internships as well. But Ed, back again, that's show 89. I'll put the link in the show notes for October 19th, 2008. Does a great job of really talking about firsthand experience and sort of some practical advice for those of you who may be thinking about or wishing to become an Imagineer.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite things about the Walt Disney Company as a whole is that there are so many avenues that you can take in the company and so many different types of career paths that you can take, and many of them lead to Imagineering. And like you said, there are so many people who started at the ground floor and built into what became their dream job and their passion, which is, a wonderful way to earn a living. But obviously, you have to be able to answer the previous question without fumbling through it like I did.
That question's actually on the Imagineering entrance exam. That's where I pulled it from.
And that's why I'm not an Imagineer, apparently.
So, but that's actually going to do it for this week's email section. A little bit shorter than some of our last ones that run up into an hour. But Becky, I'm going to give you time to think about your outro, because you know what? I'm going to throw you another curveball.
Oh, no.
I just thought of it. This is just sort of the random question to end the email segment.
Okay.
All right. you're in a park and you've got one snack that you can get before you leave, before you go home. That's that one snack that you can have when you go to the park. So the last snack that you can possibly have. What is it? Inside a theme park.
Well, contrary to popular belief, it's not a bottle of maple syrup. Oh my gosh, that's hard. If I had to come up with something really fast off the top of my head, the first thing I think of is a Mickey Head ice cream bar.
Mickey Head.
What?
All right, it's a little bit of a cop-out answer, but I'll take it nonetheless.
I like them.
It's all right. I just
Yours?
Popcorn. Or
you call mine a cop-out
or
answer?
the chocolate peanut butter cookie that you can get. It's prepackaged in the store. Oh, you can get them in all the different stores. Have them even in the resorts. They're like $3. They're phenomenal, and I'm sure incredibly healthy for you. But yeah, there's something about the popcorn on Main Street. It's a must-have. And I've tweeted that question out because I'm always curious to see what people respond to. And it's funny. I get more responses about the food questions than anything else.
Yeah. But there's just so much to talk about.
All right, you get another choice, real quick.
Okay.
Your mom turned her back for a second. You can run. You can get one more snack. What is it?
Cinnamon roll.
From the Main Street Bakery?
From the bakery. Oh, man, you walk past there and you smell the cinnamon. All right, I'm hungry now. I gotta go.
I do as well. But as always, Becky, thanks so much for taking the time and bringing your travel expertise, not so much on the math side, but I
am never going to live this down, am I? This one's going to stick around for a long, long time.
Definitely. But
yep.
As always, for any of your travel-related questions, for a free quote, anything else, you can contact Becky and her team of wonderful, talented agents over at mousefantravel.com. Becky, as always, thank you again.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me, and a tip of my hat to Tutto Italia. Ciao, and have a magical day, Lou.
Nice. Did you say a magical deluge?
No, I said a magical day, Lou.
Oh, you must articulate. Like the scene from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I can't do math. I can't articulate. I'm in a lot of trouble today, aren't I?
See ya.
Bye.
Think about Walt Disney World. When I say those three magical words, what comes to mind? For everybody, it's different, and it ranges probably from images of Cinderella Castle, to children laughing on Dumbo, to pirates, to princesses. For my next guest, it probably involves funnel cake, but what happens when I say Walt Disney World in the summer? The image changes a little bit, doesn't it? You may think of longer lines, but chances are images of blistering heat and desert-like winds and experiencing what standing on the surface of the sun might feel like, you probably get the idea. So when it came time to do our next top 10, it only made sense, as the summer gets into full swing, to look at not the best places to cool off and stop thinking about the Carousel of Progress as a good place for a nap, but instead the best places to get wet. And joining me is a man who just last week convinced a group of grown men to get wet in the waning moments of extra magic hours at the Magic Kingdom. Tim, Australian for beers, mate, Foster. I got 1 million of them, and most of which you gave to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry I did that. You guys are babies. It wasn't that wet.
We'll get to that, because it was...
I'm sure this is a story for later.
It was very wet. But, like I said, Tim, we were talking about going to Disney in the summer, and sometimes a little AC and a little air conditioning may be welcome, but it might just not cool you down enough. So, you're hot, you're tired, you need that something to really give you a second wind. And I know for you, it involves cream spinach to go, but for most guests, it involves cooling down with a little H2O.
cream spinach is a hot dish. That doesn't work.
Well, you carry it in your thermos next to your new camera bag, so I don't understand.
Don't talk about my camera bag.
I know. So
messenger bag.
Man purse. We're going to try and not do what we did on our last top 400 and name every single place to get wet in Walt Disney World, but we're going to get 10-ish or so. And obviously, there's a lot of overlap. There's going to be a lot of overlap because I think for a lot of people, certain things come to mind right off the bat, and some may involve attractions, some may not. So we're not going to restrict it either to just the theme parks, because there's plenty of places outside the theme parks, but I think there might be a couple, I know on my list, that maybe you wouldn't think about inside the theme parks to get wet as well. So being the courteous gentleman that I am, and because I'm just curious to see what you'd mention first, I will let you go first and mention number 1 or 5, whatever it is on your list.
I'm going to put 5 into 1 here. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm glad you didn't put a lot of restrictions on me that knocked out half my list before I ever got started, which is great. So let's see. I'm going to take us over to Epcot. And as you're tooling around Epcot in those, what do you say, 110-degree desert winds that you experience at Walt Disney World?
Yeah, but it's not the heat, it's the humidity. So
exactly. The one thing that Epcot has that is very, very cool are the misting stations. In particular, the Cool Wash Station by Test Track, which is much fun and a great place to get wet. But I will say my favorite misting station in Epcot is not something you would traditionally think of as a misting station, but it is the World Fellowship Fountain. And here's what you do. You go over there, try and catch it when there's a show going on, and if you stand downwind and if it's hot, you do get that nice cool mist of water to cool you off on a nice hot day, and you get to enjoy a wonderful, spectacular show in the meantime. And again, it's not a traditional misting station in the traditional sense of the word, but I think it's the biggest, baddest one there.
How can I be so conflicted on your first one? How can I love it?
Conflicted.
How can I love it and not so much love it? Because, number one, bravo for going totally against what everybody thought was going to be the first thing you mentioned. Going over to Epcot, where people say, there's nowhere to get wet in Epcot.
Oh, there's lots of places to get wet in Epcot.
But then pulling that one out, you did a Lou. You threw in the Cool Wash Station. You threw in a couple other places here and there. Big props on the correct name of the fountain. Somebody's been reading their trivia books or writing books of their own. But, and I agree with you on all of them, but I'm happy to say that while I sort of kept Epcot as my mini ace in the hole, the things that I had thought about were not what you discussed. So
we'll say that I didn't knock any off your list.
Absolutely,
See,
but I will.
That's
so I will.
The kind of nice guy I am.
I'll adjust. I'll rearrange the list as we go along. Again, there is no particular order here, but I agree that there are places to get wet in Epcot, and it's not on the Maelstrom because you're not going to get wet. Or you shouldn't get wet on the Maelstrom anyway.
More on that to come.
Yeah. Well. Oh. Okay. I actually thought about something a little bit different, and. Believe it or not, one of the things I thought about is not necessarily the traditional way to get wet, but on the second level of the Imagination Pavilion, where you exit out from the Honey, I Shrunk the Audience film, there are the jumping fountains up there, which I think are awesome. And invariably, kids and some people who are not quite kids will stand up on the risers, on the planters, and hit the jumping fountains with their hands or their face, as the case may be. And no short jokes about me not being able to reach the fountains. I've tried it, and I certainly can. That's one way, if you want to just kind of have some fun splashing each other with some water from the jumping fountains. But there's also, on the walkway to World Showcase from Future World, there's the small, soft jumping play area for kids. There's also one in Downtown Disney with the shooting fountains up from the ground.
Did I see you there?
It wasn't me. I was there. I mean, I was there for the kids.
I have photos.
I was there for the kids. But yeah, I think Tim, a lot of people, when you think about getting wet in the parks, Epcot is probably the last one on the list. Because you can get wet in all parks, and I will make sure when I go through my honorable many mentions later on, I will mention a couple.
Oh, I'm sure you'll hit them all.
I'm sure, absolutely.
Actually, for my next one, this is kind of a not a cheat. This is a minor one, relatively speaking, but I wanted to get it out there, and it is in Epcot. So we're going to stay in the park for at least one more on my list. And this is actually a go back in time one, so it's kind of cheating in that you can't do this today. So that's why I held it for early in my list, because we'll get to the big ones later on. But it's the Ice Station Cool attraction, which is now called Club Cool, of course. It was cool. For those of you who remember, unlike the way it is today, originally you went in and you were in a blizzard when you went in. Now, of course, it was obviously a wonderful way to cool off, which is a whole other top 10. But the one thing I remember that got me all the time was the snow that got you. And a lot of times when you get wet, it's neat, especially when it's hot. That was one place where it was so cold in there. Getting wet was kind of, I don't want to say aggravating, but it was, how much more can they pile on me because it's so cold? But it was really neat. It was a very much overlooked attraction in Epcot. It was one I actually saw many, many times and never really went into it, not sure what it was, and finally went in and realized how cool it was and how refreshing it was. As those who remember Refreshus Maximus, the caveman you saw down there, surely agree with you since he's been stuck in that snowbank forever and ever and ever. Of course, now the only way to get wet in there is if you have your friend try a sip of Beverly without telling him what it is, and then have him throw it in your face in disgust. But
hey, Beverly gets a bad rap. I'm gonna let you know. I think Beverly gets a bad rap.
It does, but it's still fun to spring on people. So
again, there's Tim
Watermelon's
Foster.
My favorite, though.
Tim Foster being mean to the kids. Well, hey, kids, come here.
I wasn't.
Beverly.
Hey.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking kids. I was thinking your top 10 buddy that you might have hanging around with you.
Oh, so the cruelty is now expanded. You've extended the cruelty to basically anyone of any age.
Well, anticipating the story that you're going to tell any minute now, I'm trying to fess up to being evil as much as I can.
I'm going to keep that. I'll keep that story until we get to the appropriate attraction, and I think we all know where we're going there. But I have been tasked with making sure we don't. We're going to talk about that one probably last.
Yeah.
But what I will do is I'll talk about one of the other big ones, and it's obviously one of the more obvious ones. It's over in Disney's Animal Kingdom, and it is Kali River Rapids. And I think saying that you will get wet there is a bit of a misnomer, because yes, you will get wet, but as the sign says, you may and you probably will get soaked. And when I say soaked, I mean pick yourself up, dip yourself in the pool fully clothed, come back out. That's how wet you get on Kali River Rapids.
Bathtub on your head wet.
Like wet all the way through, underwear, socks. Bring a change of clothes with you, because if the waterfall and the rapids don't get you, the people who are standing like Tim Foster, because he's too scared to ride anyway, up on the bridge shooting water at you through the elephants, they're going to make sure you get wet too.
I'm not scared. I just have my camera and I don't want it to get wet.
Yeah, and although
I don't trust the compartment.
Right. I will say that there are plastic pouches in there, but I would not bring your $13.95 camera on there, because chances are that too will get soaked. So either keep it with somebody outside the attraction, wrap it up in a Ziploc bag, put it in some sort of other protective thing, because, again, emphasizing, soaked, not wet on this ride.
It's funny, though, because one of the first times I went on Kali River Rapids.
See, now that's surprising, because I was just going to go into
Kali
the assumption.
River Rapids?
Yeah.
I'm full of surprises.
I'm so nervous.
No, it was funny, because the thing about Kali River Rapids, as opposed to, I'm suspecting just about everything we're going to talk about here, is it is a totally random experience whether you get mildly wet or soaked to the bone. And the first time I was on it, it was early in the morning, and I will say I pretty much got out unscathed. I maybe got a little splashed here and there, and that was about it. But the line was pretty much non-existent, so we got the benefit of let's go around one more time, and they let us stay on. And yeah, the waterfall got me. And like I said, it was like bathtub over your head, soaking wet.
Right. Don't bother with the ponchos because it's going to do little to no good if you get caught underneath the
And I
waterfall.
will say, if you can avoid wearing socks too, that wouldn't be a bad idea, because walking around in wet socks for the rest of the day is not a pleasant experience if you don't like the whole, blister thing.
Yeah, my suggestion for Cali River Rapids is either you ride it first thing in the morning, and in the middle of the summer, you'll dry off pretty quickly after about an hour or so, or ride it at the very, very end of the day, right before you're about to go back to your room, because like you said, you don't want to be walking around all day or all night in wet clothes, wet socks, or option 3, bring extra clothes, put them in a locker, change very quickly as soon as you get out. And the other thing to keep in mind, too, is if you're going to ride during the wintertime, because it still does get a little bit chilly here and there early in the morning, later on at night, it can get cold when you get off. And I was actually there a few years ago. We got off the attraction, we got hit with the waterfall, and they actually had heaters at the end of the attraction so you can kind of dry off a little bit because it was that cold. Although it was a very expensive trip because I ended up having to buy new clothes because it was early in the day and no one wanted to walk around wet all day. So, and notwithstanding the fact that you can get, again, not wet but soaked, Cali River Rapids, actually a really good attraction. Incredible story, amazing queue. And even if you don't want to ride the ride, Tim, you better agree with me that there's some great details in the queue alone.
Yeah, that may end up in another top 10 down the road of another variety.
Absolutely.
Actually, I will tell you, last time I was there, I went through Cali River Rapids expressly to go through the queue and look at it. I actually didn't get on because it was a little chilly, but if you do that and it's not crowded and you go through the queue line, it is an attraction unto itself. But again, another story for another time.
Absolutely. So
we'll get to.
Move on to your next on your list.
Well, in the interest of me being evil and mean, I might as well get this next one out of the way because I'm going to hear about it later on. Heading over to Adventureland, and Lou probably knows where I'm heading with this. Now, a lot of you may know what I'm talking about, but for those who don't, and if you are with a companion who you are friends with and you trust, tell them one of the most wonderful things to get at Walt Disney World is a photographic souvenir of yourself in Adventureland. And the perfect spot is right in front of the Golden Camel at the Magic Carpets of Aladdin. Position them just right. Get your picture out. Get your camera out. 1, 2, 3. And then you get that spit from the camel right on the head. It's really water for those who are curious, but lots of hilarity. Huh?
Yeah, hilarity ensues.
Hilarity ensues. Now, hold on. There's more to this story. It gets better.
I just wonder what happened to you as a child.
I think somebody pulled this on me as a child is what happened. But no, but once the hilarity is over, the laughs ensue. And your friend will be, it's hot outside, so they'll appreciate what happened. You hit them with no, just kidding. I'm sorry about that. Really, what I meant for you is to stand over here in front of the tiki statues. Oops. And then it happens again. So, a little evil? It's not evil. That's just playful fun.
So,
right?
It was evil because you mentioned something that I had on my list, which were the tiki statues over by the Jungle Cruise. But yeah,
let's turn it around to don't put your friend out. Just go there and stand in front of them and get splashed and try and duck out of the way of the jets of water and have fun. Because it is fun. If you go there, you'll see kids playing there, and it's very fun to dodge the jets of water and have a good time. And pull a prank on your unsuspecting friend.
Top 10 childhood traumas that befell
I didn't
Tim
say
Foster.
a child. I said your friend who you do a podcast show with. That they won't know what's going on.
All right.
I can't believe you fell for that last time we were there.
Well, let's just move on past the spitting camels and the tikis, which I love. I love the tikis, by the way. That was actually on my list as sort of an aside. But again, I'm going to state the obvious because I have to, because you're stealing all the other ones. And one of my favorite places to get wet is Stormalong Bay. And to that I add an asterisk and say any resort pool. And I think if you go, especially if you go with kids during the summer, it's in your best interest to, in the middle of the day, take a break and go back to the pool, or take a day. And if you are fortunate enough to stay at the yacht or the beach club, Stormalong Bay is by far, we've said it in the magazine, I've said it in the show, far and away the best pool on property, if you can call it a pool, because it really is, in my estimation, it's a mini water park. It's 3 acres, it's 750,000 gallons, there's the pirate shipwreck, there's the sand bottom pool, there's all kinds of good stuff, there's the big water slide, there's Hurricane Hannah's, Beaches and Cream is right there. Stormalong Bay is right up there with being, in the class of water park as far as I'm concerned. And if you're staying there, you can walk from Epcot, jump in the pool for an hour or two, walk right back to Epcot or the studios. So convenience-wise, too, it also helps the ranking.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with more. That out of the pools, that's far and away the king of the pools. I will take us over to another pool, though, and it's the Wilderness Lodge pool. But I'm there not for the pool, but for the geyser. And again, this is along the lines of the World Fellowship Fountain kind of thing. If you go check out the geyser while it erupts, you probably be treated to a nice, cool mist of water, which again, very refreshing on a hot day. And the cool thing there, while you're there, check out the hidden Mickey in the rocks in the pool underneath. And it's just even besides the getting wet part, just a very cool thing to just watch and see as it happens.
Honorable mention for the pools, Disney's Coronado Spring Resort. They got the Mayan Pyramid. They got the big 5-story waterfall there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think so. Everybody talks about being a convention hotel. Like the pool there. Big fan of the pool.
Now, I will say my daughter's favorite slide is the Wilderness Lodge slide.
Not the Keister Coaster?
Not the Keister Coaster.
I just like saying Keister Coaster. Although the clown scares me just a little bit. But again, that's going to my childhood as well. So...
Everybody I know looks at that and they kind of, it must be a clown thing.
It's a clown. And if you've seen the cinematic version of It from Stephen King, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because that's it. So, all right, was that yours? Was the geyser yours?
Yeah.
How many more do you have on your list? Because the 10 becomes.
Well, I have 3 more on my list of 5, over which I've already said 4.
Fine. Well, I will.
One's kind of cheating, though. I'm sneaking in the middle because it's not really one, but it's a funny story. So.
I'm going to mention another one, overstating the obvious, but obviously it needs to be on the list, and it's both of these deserve their own separate segment because that's how good they are. But it's the water parks. Both Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach are amazing, amazing water parks, accessible by Disney Transportation. You can make a full day there. Now, Tim, have you ever been to any of the water parks? And River Country counts, if you've ever been to River Country.
Actually, I will yes, and I will tell you that River Country was my favorite. I actually say that because it was my daughter's favorite. I remember there was one trip we went there every day. I think we just liked it because it was more laid back, a little less crowded and hectic than the other ones, but they are wonderful. Now, I'm a lazy river kind of guy. I'm not a Summit Plummet kind of guy, but I could picture you on Summit Plummet. But
you know what? I actually I need to go back to the water parks. I definitely need to go back to the water parks. I've been to River Country many times. I've been to Blizzard Beach, but it's been a long... You know what we got to do? How about this? Maybe we should have like a meet at the water park one day, like a WDW radio day at Blizzard Beach. Maybe rent out one of those cool cabanas. They just started a new thing, like as of June 1st. They've got these little premium cabana-like spaces that you get like an attendant and lockers and tables and mugs and coolers and stuff like that. Really cool. Do you have a preference? Blizzard Beach, Typhoon Lagoon?
How about Typhoon Lagoon?
You have no idea. You're just throwing one out there, don't you?
No, I've been at Blizzard Beach more than I've been at Typhoon Lagoon, so...
I think Blizzard Beach has great theming with the ice skater.
It's a wonderful backstory.
Yeah, and you know what's nice too?
I adore the backstory.
You can make the full day and night there. You go to Blizzard Beach during the day, you come out, you go right to Winter Summerland mini golf when you're done.
Hey, we can finish up there too.
Oh.
And you're going down, by the way. So. That's my
Do I
game.
hear a challenge? Do I hear a
Absolutely.
mini golf challenge?
Absolutely. Now, I will. A water park meet is fine. I will warn you about my flippers and Donald Duck inner tube. I hope you don't mind, but
Priceless photos for the back cover of Celebrations magazine is what I'm thinking. The
There you
Tim
go.
Foster calendar for 2010.
Let's see. Well, that was your. Well, let's see. I might pull a Lou and sneak in 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I
real
have
quick,
one.
before you go. Obviously, we sort of glossed over the details of the water parks because
Yes.
I don't want the segment to be 9 hours long because there is so much to talk about them, and I promise I will definitely do a segment on each of those either together or individually.
Yeah, I think my next one. Here, I'm going to throw out a. Let's see. I have 1, 2, 3. Well, 4. This is a 4 and 1, and you're going to think this is kind of funny, but believe me. Grand
Go with me
Fiesta,
on this one.
Grand Fiesta Tour, Pirates of the Caribbean, It's a Small World, Maelstrom.
Just so you
What
know,
did they-
I
what?
wish this was a visual because my head
What?
is in my hand. And-
Oh, did I steal one from you?
No, because I'm just fearful of how you're going to explain this one away.
No, this is cute. This is good. Now, again, what do they have in common? All water rides. What else do they have in common? You don't
Tim
really
being
get
mean
wet.
to children, probably.
No, there's no children involved. My lovely wife is involved, but you'll see where this is going. But no, the one big thing they have in common is you don't really get wet on them. Now,
You know the segment is top 10 places to get wet.
yeah, no, that's why this is the funny story that's leading to my real
You
next.
better have such a payoff at the end of this story.
I'm pulling a loop. Now,
This better be like the end of the story. Better be like the end of what's the I See Dead People movie?
Sixth Sense.
That's the kind of payoff you need. Luke, I
Why,
am
what
your
happened at the end
father.
of that
I
movie?
see dead people because I really am dead. Go ahead.
Wait, what? He's really dead? Oh, great. Take it back. Don't need to see. Well, that blows my evening. Thanks a lot. Now, the one thing these rides have in common is you don't really get that wet on them unless you're my wife.
Oh God.
No, but I will say Pirates, you can get a little wet on them, depending if you're on the outside of the boat during the drop. I've gotten splashed a couple times, and Maelstrom as well. Now, It's a Small World and Grand Fiesta Tour / El Rio del Tiempo. You can't possibly get wet on those, right? Wrong. If there is water to be found in an attraction, it will find my wife, Lisa. I swear, she has gotten wet on It's a Small World and El Rio del Tiempo. Don't ask me how. I don't know how it happened. I've tried to get wet on those rides. I can't do it. She'll come out wet. Not soaked, but wet.
there's no drop. There's no
I know.
ridge.
I
There's no
don't-
rise.
I get it, but it happens. Yes, she has gotten wet on It's a Small World.
So the payoff to the story is don't ride and sit next to your wife. That's it.
If you're riding the rides and you're sitting next to my wife, bring your poncho, and you might want galoshes too, because if the water finds her, it's surely going to find its way over to you. So just beware. But I will say I have gotten wet on Pirates of the Caribbean, not by the misty waterfall, which I think is a tremendous effect, but it has happened. Come on, confess, it's happened to you. You've gotten a little bit splashed on Pirates.
A little bit, but I will tell you that story was as bad as like
That
Cannonball
was
Run
an
2.
awesome story. Well, now this takes me to my real next one. Big Thunder Mountain
Wait a
Railroad.
minute,
No, that was cheating. See, this is how Lou.
you can't cheat.
Now, do you have? Well, if you have two more, then I'll let
Go
you
ahead. Since you already gave out Big Thunder Mountain. Go ahead.
Well, I only have two left anyway. So, yeah, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Not ordinarily something you'd think of as getting wet, but it's the initial climb as you climb up into the caves, and the waterfall is going over your head. You can get a little wet, and I've actually reached out and gotten my arm quite wet, which is great if it's hot. Stick your arm out, get your hand wet, put a little cold water on your face, and then as you careen around the mountains at, what's it get to, 120 miles an hour? It'll cool you off really quick. Wonderful thing. Just beware though, because the last time I rode it, and I did that, I did hear an ominous voice say, "Please keep your hands in the car at all times." It sounded suspiciously like this Mangello guy I know, but I couldn't be sure. No coincidence he was sitting 2 cars behind me, but that wasn't you, was it?
Big Thunder Mountain, you know what? That's almost as big of a stretch as It's a Small World.
But I did get wet.
I'm shaking my head in surprise and almost...
Well, we're saving the ultimate big one for the next one. And
I'm actually, believe it or not, I think I'm saving my real aces in the hole, the ones you're not thinking of, for my Tim, are you done? Here's my honorable mention list.
Oh, boy.
Because I'm just mentioning the most obvious ones now. And
well, see, I'm going for the obscure, out of the way, not real wet, but somewhat wet that you wouldn't think about.
I'm gonna throw a couple of them out there for you, but I'm not putting them on the main list because they're not really for everybody or something you could do every day.
Okay, well, I have one more on my main list, so you got one last shot here. Or actually 2, since I went first.
Well, my somewhat last one, because you've taken some of my others, which is fine, is the most simple, the most obvious, and it's anywhere. It's anywhere during the daily Disney downpour that takes place every day in the middle of the summer. Because if you don't think that you're going to get that 3 o'clock, 15 minutes of torrential downpour rain, you will. That is honestly, if you want to cool off, that's not a bad way. If you don't mind getting a little wet, again, we did our top 10 things to do in the rain. You can go out, get a little, especially when it just starts to come down, make your way to whatever attraction or show you want to go into, cool off just a little bit. When the downpour comes, clears out a lot of the parks, especially when people have little kids. They make their way to the exits. People don't realize the rain's going to stop soon. You come out, you're cool, the parks are empty, you're ready to go.
Now, I will say, when we were just down there, we saw some rains that pretty much every top 10 thing we said to do in the rain, you don't want to do in this rain because it was torrential.
And I've gotten caught in that. And I've gotten caught, unfortunately, I got wet, and I said, "Okay, Lou, you're wet. That's fine. You got to leave. You got all your equipment in your man purse. Make your way out and leave." And here's my embarrassing, self-deprecating story of the week. I'm leaving Disney's Hollywood Studios. It's pouring like sideways, sheets of rain, thundering and lightning. Should not have been out there, taking my own advice. And I get out into the middle of the parking lot of Disney's Hollywood Studios, and my car is nowhere to be found. Because I forgot where I parked that day versus where I parked the day before. And I just stood there, wet as I was, soaked down through the bone, and out loud, by myself, said, "Come on, cut me a break. Where is my car?" There might have been an expletive here and there. And then, because even the little key beepy thing wasn't working at that point. So, yeah, that's my embarrassing story.
Now, magical moment when it does rain, and I had this happen to me. If you get that afternoon thunderstorm, don't forget, it's the afternoon, and it's an optimal time for rainbows. So make sure you look out. If it's in the afternoon and it just rained, keep an eye out, because I did happen to see one last time I was down there, took a picture. So and that's really an awesome sight, seeing a rainbow in the most magical place on Earth. How's it get any better than that?
And let me just complete my story by saying, once I did find my car and get in and totally drench my seats, I turned the ignition on, the sun came out, it was beautiful outside, I found the ponchos that were in the back of the car, so, again, just might as well complete the entire tale, so.
Oh, to add to your tale, too, since we've already, and I hope my wife isn't listening, but since we said if she's riding on It's a Small World, don't sit next to her because you'll get wet. My flip side to that is, if you are with Lou Mangello and he says, "It's not going to rain because I brought my poncho," don't believe it. The most horrific downpour I've ever seen happened about 2 minutes after you said that.
But what did we do? But what were we able to do? You got a good meal of teppanyaki out of it.
Yeah, we ate. Big surprise. And for that, I am eternally grateful. Because that was good.
All right.
And it was, and of course, when we left, it was, sky was clear, it was fine, and walk around the parks, nobody's there, and have a good time. All right, mine, the one I'm going to end up with is the obvious one. Everybody's probably wondering, when are they going to get to? Now, of course, we were at Big Thunder Mountain next time. Of course, let's go right next door to the Big Brother Splash Mountain. And I think Blue might have a story to tell during the course of this one. I'm not sure. But yeah, Splash Mountain, to me, is the ultimate place to get wet. If only because you can kind of control the degree of wetness you receive, or at least you could.
Right. I was going to say, do you think
I'm going to explain a little?
Is it a guaranteed get wet, or is it a strategic seeding? You know, how heavy is the guy in front of you get wet?
Now, I used to, because it used to be in the day. You could take your pick. Don't want to get wet? I'm going to sit up front. Do I want to stay dry? Well, I'm going to sit in the back and stay dry. And you could pretty much rely on that. Now, there might be the once in a while, the odd splash as you first start out from the logs plunging as you go beside them. You might get a little wet there. But by and large, you could be fine. And if it's extra magic hours and I'm deciding I'm going to loop around Splash Mountain for 3 times, I could do so, not knowing I'm going to get overly soaked. I might get a little splash here and there. Well, no more. Because, as we found... Now, we're leading to a story that I'm not sure if you want to take the reins of this story and continue on with.
Well, you know, I'm sure if I tell the story, it'll sound less mean than if you tell the story. But
Well, no, mean is good. Go ahead.
We're having a wonderful evening. There's 5 or 6 of us just sort of walking around the Magic Kingdom, just relaxing, enjoying the evening. It was a beautiful night, extra magic hours. And Tim, in his infinite wisdom, says, "Let's get wet. Let's get wet." As we came off Big Thunder Mountain, we said, "Oh, well, you know what? The line for Splash isn't all that bad, although it really was a little more deceiving than we thought it was going to be."
Yeah, yes, it was. I will say,
but in the company of friends, it really didn't matter. But so we get on there, and Tim, trying to be strategist that he is deciding where he wants to sit so he doesn't get wet. And invariably,
I also jumped in the boat too early. I got in the wrong boat. Which I got.
Well, I see. I was going to leave that part of the story out that you got in with the wrong family.
Yeah, I got it. Hey, we're not in that boat. Oops. All right. So go ahead. Carry on.
But here's the thing about Splash Mountain. It doesn't really matter where you sit. It doesn't matter how you leverage the weight and the size of the people around you, because there was a giant in front of me and heavy person to the side. Because we got wet, borderline soaked, some of us, some of you, not because of any of the 3 dips and the 5-story drop at the end, but because of another boat. And there's the rub right there, because when you go around that little bend and one of the other boats is coming down and they shoot up the gushes of water, Tim, thank you, because we were I mean, there's no word to describe the level of wetness that we all were.
Bathtub over the head wet? And I will say, because I knew this was sort of coming, so I thought I would strategically sit myself on the left-hand side of the boat next to a very nice but very large 6'7" individual. And I thought that would protect me. Well, when the water is coming pretty much straight down at you,
right.
Nothing helps. And I will say, now if you're on the right-hand side of the boat, I think you do have a much better shot of getting that.
Right-hand side, sitting in the front is usually.
And it was funny because I remember we saw it coming, and I was in the back because I was trying to be the one that stayed dry so I could laugh at all of you. As soon as we saw it was going to time out, we were going to pass that spot right as the boat was coming down. All of you simultaneously, you started miming the paddle, canoe faster, 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 and I will surprise that doesn't work, you know. And I don't know, and if I'm going to be honest, I don't know what I think of that, because I think, you know, the splash when you go down the final drop and getting wet on Cali River Rapids, that's what you expect. That's what the ride's about. The cheap water cannon shots and things like that just to get you wet, I don't know. I think there's something disingenuous about that.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that Splash Mountain, for a lot of people, is far and away their favorite attraction? And
it is one of mine, I will say that.
Because what you get, I think Splash Mountain is a number of different attractions sort of brought together. Because what you get when you're inside and you're going through the different show scenes, very different than just the fun, thrilling log flume splash and get wet. Do you think the fact that there's the potential of you getting soaked at the very beginning takes away at all from the experience inside if it wasn't your intention or grandma's intention to get bathtub over the head wet.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah. I mean, because there was the time where you could go on Splash Mountain and purposely sit in a spot is to not get so wet and then enjoy the ride. And like loop, if you could at extra magic hours, go on it 3 times in a row if you wanted to. But yeah, you're really going to get wet now no matter what you do. And it's kind of a cheap shot in my opinion. It's tough because there's some days it might be cool, it might be winter, it might be rainy out. You might not really be anxious to get wet, and I think you're pretty much committed to getting wet to a varying degrees on the ride now. But
you sissy Mary, you walked right into that trap.
What?
Doesn't matter if you get wet or not. The ride's still awesome.
No, come on. When it's 50 degrees outside, and it's
man up, cowboy.
Wait, hold on. See, you say that, and you baited me into this. Yet, ever since that happened, I have not heard the end from all of you big guys about Tim Foster got us wet on the ride, and we were soaked the rest of the night. It was a nice evening, and we're cold, and now I'm wet. And
it didn't bother me. I went right to Casey's and ate.
No, all I heard the rest of the night was, we're going to sneak over to your room and put the air down to 60 degrees. I can't believe you did that to us. See?
That was just wanting to be mean back to you.
You big babies. Now, what I'll state, I agree with you totally that it's, you can take away the 50-foot drop at the end, or however we call this, and all the splashes, and it still would be probably one of my favorite attractions. The show scenes are spectacular, and my favorite part is the laughing place. And actually, this goes way back to the beginning of your list with the leapfrog fountains. And I think one of the coolest things, there's some, I think I'm going to get wet moments at Walt Disney World that are cool when you really don't get wet, and those are kind of neat too. And the laughing place is full of them, where you have the water jets going in front of you overhead, and it sure looks like all the world, like you're going to get hit with them, but of course they have them timed so they don't hit you. That's actually one of my favorite parts in the ride when we go down there. And it's funny because when you said leapfrog fountains, it made me think of that, because it's pretty much the same effect that's doing that, and kind of neat to see.
All right, Tim, Splash Mountain, better during the day or better at night?
Night.
Why?
Because when you get wet, it's even colder. Now,
I man up there. Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different experience, day versus night, and I think you should actually ride it both times.
Now, I like. Now, again, when you're inside, it doesn't matter whether it's day or night out. The first thing I think of, though, when you say that, and the one thing I try and point out to people who are riding it, is when you get to the final drop and you go over the crest, if you can manage it, if you're not screaming and have your eyes clenched and are ducked under your companion, take a look out, because you will be treated to a really spectacular view of Cinderella's Castle and Space Mountain. And I say night partly because at nighttime, that view, spectacular during the day as it is, it's breathtaking at night with everything lit up. Now, again, it's the briefest of glimpses before you plunge down, but it's a tiny little magical moment that I tell people, make sure you take a peek out there, because it is really a wonderful view.
And I think that's one of the things about Splash, is that there are many of those wow moments. There's that wow moment when you see the castle at night. There's that wow moment when you come down. There's the wow moment when you see the finale scene, and even some of the other scenes inside. So I think that's what makes the attraction so good.
Now, that's coupled with my contrary tip, though, which you don't have to worry about, but I do. And it's if you're wearing glasses. What I've found, at least works for me, is right as you go over the plunge, take your glasses off and put them under your shirt, because if you don't, then you're going to spend, after you splash down, you're going to spend the next scene, the zippity-doo-dah scene, trying to wipe your glasses off with probably a wet shirt, which doesn't work very well, and all you're going to see are big, blurry white things on some other big, blurry white thing, and there's some song going on. So it's look at the view real quick, but then take the glasses off and then put them in. And then when you splash down, you take the glasses off, put it back on, you're dry. And you can enjoy the final scene and look for that hidden Mickey on the wall. And Now,
All right,
of course, with perfect eyesight, you don't have to worry about that. So
contact lenses. I'm blind as a bat.
no.
Because I think we both agree that Splash is sort of the obvious number one on the list. That's going to conclude the official top 10. However,
put my feet up, Tom. Go ahead.
put your feet up, because I'm going to give you the top 3 or 4 hidden ways or overlooked ways to get wet. And again, not necessarily for everybody. That's why I didn't include them on the list. Not something you could do every day, but great experiences nonetheless, and ones that I will cover on the show in separate segments. Because if you want to get wet, and I mean really, really wet, you can actually, and I'm sure many guests know this, many guests don't know this, you can actually go scuba diving in the Living Seas Aquarium. I'm sorry, the Seas with Nemo and Friends Aquarium. Because you could do Dive Quest. They do it twice a day. You need to be a certified scuba diver, but you could actually go and explore this giant saltwater, coral-reefed, marine life-filled tank over at the Living Seas, which is just spectacular. I know some people that have done it before. They completely rave about it. If you're not scuba certified, but if you want to still experience it a little bit, if you don't have scuba certification, you can do the Epcot Seas Aqua Tour. It still gives you the ability to kind of get up close and personal with some of the inhabitants of the Living Seas. You use sort of the SNUBA stuff, the scuba-assisted snorkeling equipment. You can call 407 WDW Tour for each of those. But you can also go snorkeling, and maybe you didn't realize this, over in Typhoon Lagoon. And it's included with your admission. You can go over to the Shark Reef and go scuba diving. Maybe we need to go to Typhoon Lagoon instead of Blizzard Beach. Maybe both. We'll have to hit both of them.
That's what the buses are for.
And finally, and this is one, I'm going to tip my hand a little bit. Some of these things I am going to be covering on the show and in some different ways, but there's lots of different ways to get wet on many of the different waterways in and around Walt Disney World. So you can go to the Contemporary and go to Sammy Duvall's Water Sports Center. You can do, slalom water skiing. You can do kneeboarding. You can do wakeboarding. You can do parasailing. You can take some little water mice out, and if you want to get wet, you can get wet. There's all different ways to do it from a lot of the different resorts. Find out what's available, especially, like I said, over at the Contemporary. Call 407 WDW Play, and again, cover some of those overlooked experiences. And It's a Small World is not one of those, on separate segments on the show. So,
and
go ahead.
No, I was going to say one of my. I'm trying to think of one that I'm going to throw into your by the way list.
Your whole list was a by the way list. Oh, by the way, my wife found a way to get wet on Small World, which I need to see it to believe it.
Oh, by the way, I remember back in the day, one of my favorite things to do. You see how I did that? You find the place selling the cooling misting fans that you could buy, and stand there and look really hot and pathetic, so a cast member will squirt you with one in anticipation that you're going to buy one. But
I won't even go to the whole looking hot and pathetic. But there is, I have to say, when I was thinking about this, there is one problem with getting wet in the parks and with our top 10 things to do in the rain and not being able to dry out quickly or go home to change. And follow me here, Tim, or anybody, because you know that it's hot and it's summer, and there's that guy in front of you, or there's that guy really close next to you on the monorail, or huddling under a canopy somewhere to get out of the rain, who shall remain nameless, but we'll just call him Tim Foster. He smells like wet bologna. I don't know how else to describe it, because caught in the rain the last couple of trips there was that guy, and that's like the one downfall of getting soaked at Walt Disney World. The guy that smells like wet bologna.
Did I really smell like wet bologna? No, I didn't.
Did you notice that we all left? We all went to go eat while you went to go take pictures?
I thought you were just bored.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about the guy on the monorail, but... Yeah, just remember, you have to dry it out later. So, this is all good for when it's hot in summer and you can dry out. Again, when it's December and it's 50, Yeah, Splash Mountain at night in January, not digging it. Not digging
Can't
it.
they turn that stuff up?
Yeah, you do get, it gets cold and wet.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the day where I'd love to still see the show parts and everything, but it's just the prospect of getting that wet when it's hard to be wet when there's snow falling on Main Street.
That's when a poncho might come in handy. Bringing a poncho to Splash Mountain.
I guess so.
So, but yeah, there are many different ways and many different places throughout the parks and obviously the resorts to get wet and stay cool. Make sure you drink lots of water in the middle of the summer. Obviously, not from the places that we mentioned, including and especially the pools. But yeah, there's plenty of ways to get wet, and that's why I like I said, going on some of these things to take a break and sort of help you recharge your batteries. And the more I think about it, Tim, I'm really liking the idea of the WDW radio day at a water park.
All right,
bunch of us meeting up at a water park, hanging out for the day. Maybe a little mini golf afterwards.
I'm in. Lou and Swimmies. I can't wait.
Tim in a Speedo, even.
Whoa.
So, but again, this was not the all-inclusive list, and again, people are screaming at Tim, and they're screaming at their iPods that there are ones that we missed, so I invite you to please post on the forums, or call into the voicemail, or email me, post on Facebook, whatever it might be, some of your top places to get wet, and some of the ways that you enjoy getting wet when you're in Walt Disney World, preferably in the summer. But Tim Foster from GuideToTheMagic.com and Top 10s, thank you once again for getting us wet.
Hey, it's my pleasure, as always.
That's all the time we have this week. Thank you for tuning in once again. Thanks also to my guests, Becky Menken from MEI and Mousefan Travel. For a free, no-obligation quote, you can go visit Becky and her team over at mousefantravel.com. And as always, Tim, Australian for Beer's mate, Foster, you can check out his book and his website over at guidetothemagic.com. Don't forget, you still have one more week until Saturday, July 5th at 11:59 p.m. to enter last week's Where in the World audio contest. I played 5 random sound clips from Walt Disney World, asked you to identify them in order. Send me an email to lou@wdwradio.com with your name, address, and shirt size for a chance to win a WDW Radio logo t-shirt. Speaking of emails, if you have a question that you want me to answer on the show, or if you want to be heard on the air, you can email me at lou@wdwradio.com or call the voicemail at 888-703-2171. I posted a new video this week. That's with Disney miniature artist Robert Olszewski. There's more to come. Definitely stay tuned to the site, to iTunes, and YouTube as well. I'm also in the process of finalizing the details for the upcoming Meets of the Month. It does look like July's is going to be Saturday, July 11th. I don't exactly have the time and location yet. Stay tuned to the website, the forums, Twitter, and Facebook for all the details coming in the next few days. August, again, likely going to be near the end of the month. September will likely be Saturday the 26th, and October's will be probably either Saturday the 24th or Sunday the 25th. Again, Twitter, Facebook, and the forums, best way to get all of the updates. Again, if you want to follow me on Twitter, head on over to twitter.com, sign up for a free account. You can follow my updates at twitter.com/LouMongello. Over on Facebook, you can join Facebook, friend me up there, also join the WDW Radio Show fan page as well. Links to all these right on the homepage of WDWRadio.com. And of course, don't forget to come and join the forums over at WDWRadio.com. They're fun, they're free, very, very welcoming. More than 32,000 registered members there talking about all things Disney, and a great place to comment on anything you hear or want to discuss about the show. Look for a new WDW Radio Live coming soon. I promise. I know it's been a long time. Definitely going to have one in the next few weeks. Don't forget to find out more, to subscribe, or to get back issues of Celebrations Magazine. Head on over and visit celebrationspress.com. Thanks as always. Remember, guys, if you like the show, all I ask is that you please help spread the word, let others know about it, review us on iTunes. Also, if you have and you like the audio guides to Walt Disney World, they are in iTunes now. Would be really helpful if you like the guides to go over, rate them, and review them. You'll find a link to that in this week's show notes. Also, while you're on the WDW Radio website, be sure and check out some of the latest articles, as well as some of my recent blog posts, doing a few new things like random images from Walt Disney World, posting some old images, photos, maps, and I'm also doing simple sounds from Walt Disney World, playing small little sound clips from attractions, from shows, from parades, just to give you a little more connection back to the magic of Walt Disney World. Again, you can find all those right on the homepage of WDWRadio.com. And of course, as always, thank you so very much for taking the time out of your day and out of your week to listen to the show, to check out the videos. I really, really do appreciate it. So I hope you guys have a great week this week. Do something fun for yourself, do something good for somebody else, and remember to always, always keep moving forward. So until next time, see ya.
Hey Lou, it's Mary Jo Collins from Lenore City, Tennessee. I was just calling about last week's show and the Empress Lily, and I wanted to say that it was very interesting history about something at Walt Disney World that I was completely unfamiliar with, so thank you for that. But what I found most amusing was Jim Corcus' comments that at Disney, everything is written in Jell-O. I found that statement very ironic, especially since everything that Mongello writes is Disney. Yep, that was pretty corny. Lou, I just wanted to call and tell you that I really, really love the show. You're just like a Disney legend to me. And I hope you had a very fantastic Father's Day. See ya.
Hi, Lou. It's Amy Pease. I met you at the first Star Wars weekend at the ABC commissary in the wonderful pouring rain. I hope you remember. My dog, you say hello. Your Main Street USA CD is just beyond words. I can sit here and listen to this and actually see everything that you're talking about, so I can actually be home here and see it. It's amazing. I thank you so much for this. You must continue with the rest of the land and go throughout the rest of the world. You know how to find me if you need me, and thank you again for everything that you do. Bye.
Hey, Lou, it's Justin Michoni, Disney Parks CMO, just calling in to say hello. I hope you're having a great summer. Love the updates. As always, big fan of the show. Really digging the videos that you've been putting out lately. So kudos to you, man. Great work. Keep up the awesome work, and I can't wait to catch up with you again soon.
Hey, Lou, it's Mike. How's it going? You know, my girlfriend Lauren is a huge fan of yours. She listens to this podcast all the time. And she doesn't know that I'm calling right now, and I got a surprise for her. You see, a few weeks ago, she actually was one of the winners of your ticket giveaway for Disney's Little Mermaid on Broadway. And unfortunately, we couldn't make it. We had a family emergency at the last minute, and obviously she was really upset and disappointed. But I wanted her to know not to worry, because our one-year anniversary is coming up, and I got us 2 more tickets to go see it that Friday night. So you're welcome. Anyway, Lou, thanks for all that you do.
Hi, Lou. This is Courtney. I'm calling you from Hollywood Boulevard at Hollywood Studios. We just got off the Tower of Terror, and it was awesome. And we had Mama Melrose's for lunch, and we're having a great time. This is our first day of our summer Florida vacation, so I was just thinking about you and just wanted to give you a call. I'm so excited to be at Disney. Thanks for everything you do. Love you. Bye.
Hey Lou, this is Kelly calling from Louisiana. I'd first like to wish you a happy Father's Day. It's like 1 in the morning here, and I'm staying up late listening to your podcast. I just finished listening to last week's show, number 123, and I realized that my last day in the Disney parks will be Space Mountain's opening day after its refurbishment. So I'm super, super, super excited about that. Hopefully you'll be there too, and we can meet up. Anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to what you have in store for future shows. Bye.
Hey, Lou, this is Jesse from St. Louis. I've been a long-time listener. We're here in line for the Toy Story Mania, and we got to see Luxo Jr. come out and dance for a little while. I'm here with my family, and we were hoping to see you on one of your research trips. Anyway, be safe and keep moving forward. Bye.
Hi, Lou. My name's Andre. I'd like to just congratulate you on the success of the show. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. Thanks. Bye.
Hey, Lou, it's Gary from Columbus, Ohio calling. Just wanted to tell you thanks so much for the tip. My wife and I just enjoyed our 12th anniversary dinner at the Yachtsman Steakhouse, and then came over for to Beaches and Cream, where I just completed a No Way Jose, and I'm very grateful for the resulting insulin shock. Somebody here just got a kitchen, and it's quite a show. They both time, and just wanted.
Hey, Lou, it's Josh. I'm calling, and everyone, get up from watching Happy Day reruns because it is time for some more WDW visitor tips. For this week, I'm going to give you 2 tips. I'm going to give you, I can't think. Oh, here. I'm going to give you 2 tips. Tip number 86. As you all know, there is a show, May 2008, that Lou did, all about the new Toy Story Midway Mania ride at Disney's Hollywood Studios. For anyone that's going to Disney's Hollywood Studios anytime soon, you're going to want to get a Fast Pass early in the morning, like right when you get into the park. If they open the gates, don't get sidetracked, don't stop or anything, just go get a Fast Pass. And then once you're done with getting a Fast Pass, because they do usually sell out in the first hour or so, head on over to Walt Disney One Man's Dream. It's a very good attraction, opened in 2001 in honor of Walt Disney's 100th birthday. And there is so many different things in there. Many Walt Disney's office, many rare signatures, concept art, Disney park models, like I know there's the Jungle Cruise and Peter Pan's Flight. And tip number 71. Stay at a Disney Value Resort. If you want to indulge yourself, you can stay at a deluxe. If you kind of want an upgrade from a value, stay at a moderate or something. But if you want to stay at a value, there's the All-Star Sports, Movies, and Music, and then there's the new Pop Century Resort. I've stayed at All-Star Movies both times because they're the cheapest, starting at $82 a night. And you get a pool, food court, gift shop, arcade, for the kids and everything. It's really cool. So everyone, I hope these tips help you. I will continue to do them, and I leave you with this.